I saw him put his neck in the noose. He was about to kick the chair away, but then he heard a noise from outside. He looked out and saw there was a car in his yard. The old man told them there were no cars allowed. He went back to his room to continue his suicide. The old man was just about to put on the noose. He saw the little girl at the window. He hid the rope. The old man got madder and madder. His name is Ove. Ove's wife died a few months ago, and he was fired from his job. It made Ove feel like his life was hopeless. Death was the only relief. This time he committed suicide. Ove purposely closed the curtains. He put his head in a noose. The roommate rang the doorbell. Ove didn't intend to pay any attention, but the doorbell kept ringing. It was really affecting his mood to hang himself. Ove was so angry that he wanted to curse, but when he opened the door, it was two little girls. Ove could only restrain his temper. Ove looked at his wife's picture. He tried to pull out a smile. Then he put on the rope. He kicked down the bench, and this time, no one bothered him anymore. Ove felt relieved. Before he died, his whole life flashed before his eyes. It turned out that Ove had lost his mom at a very young age. He had to live with his father. Until this day, when he gave his father his report card, he was so happy. He was bragging about it. Until the train drove over him. Ove lost his father, and the officials burned down his house. Now Ove didn't even have a home. That day Ove would meet the girl who made his heart sing. Ove invited her to dinner. The girl said yes. First date. Ove doesn't know how to flirt. The girl has to initiate the conversation. Ove took the initiative to confess. He is now a poor man. The girl suddenly kissed him. Ove fell to the ground. The rope to hang himself broke. Ove decides to die in a different way. He went to the Parvenet's house to get his pipes back. He was invited inside to fix the heating. There was a paralyzed old man at the Parvenet's house, a friend of Ove's from before. Ove talked to him about his feelings. Then Parvenet's came in with a hose. Subconsciously, he tried to leave, but his friend grabbed him by the hose, trying to keep Ove. But Ove didn't care. This time he was going to smoke himself to death. Ove thought it would work this time, but it wasn't long before someone started tapping on his garage door. He opened the door in anger. It was the new neighbor again. Pavina said her husband had fallen and wanted to ask Ove for help. Ove had to do it. He came to the hospital. Pavina asked Ove to take care of her daughter. Ove even told them a story. The two girls laughed and laughed. When they got home, the girls hugged Ove. That day, Ove was called by Parvina. It was her daughter who drew him. Ove was painted in color. That's when Pavina saw a cat. Pavina decided to adopt the poor cat, but because her daughter was allergic to cats, the cat had to stay at Ove's house. Ove hated it, but he was very nice to the cat. He carries him around every day. He even prepares food for him in different ways. Ove didn't seem so eager to kill himself anymore. That day, Ove met a young officer. He came to Ove and called him crazy. Ove was enraged. He began his seventh suicide. He put the shotgun to his chin, and that's when it happened. The doorbell rang again. Ove opened the door in a rage. At the door were two of his wife's former students, kicked out of their house for arguing with their father. He wanted Ove to take him in. Ove was cursing and swearing, but he let the boy in. Early the next morning, the boy prepared breakfast for him. Ove sat there a little uncomfortable after his wife left. It was the first time Ove had ever eaten breakfast with anyone. Soon after the neighbor's baby was born, he held him like a grandfather, giving gifts to the children. Ove stopped taking life lightly. He began to take life seriously.